Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about the game Mythos Tales. Now, this is my print and play version of Mythos Tales that is still being called Arkham Investigator, which is what the game was called before they changed the name for the Kickstarter that is currently going on right now. This game basically makes you a detective in the H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu Mythos world. If you played the game Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, this is like kind of it's standing on that the shoulders of that game, but they're taking a more H.P. Lovecraft Mythos, Cthulhu, whatever, Lovecraftian theme, if you will. These are not just like investigating murders or crimes or whatever. This is investigating like occult occurrences, if you will. And it is, if you are a fan of like that whole mythos or those books by H.P. Lovecraft, this will not disappoint because it's the same like eerie, scary things man was not meant to know type of thing. So I'm going to just assume that you haven't played Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective or seen this print and play. So I'm going to show you how the game is played. This isn't like a classic board game. There's not really a board, so to speak. I mean, there's a map and stuff like that, but this is kind of like a free-form choose-your-own-adventure, if you will. So why don't I show you how the game is played, and then we'll come back here, and then we'll talk more about, well, not Arkham Investigator, but Mythos Tales. Alright, before I get started and show you just how this works, or how Arkham Investigator or Mythos Tales works, I just want to mention that when the publisher sent me this prototype, and this is just a print-and-play prototype that they sent me, of course, it was raining that day, and my mail got wet, so the stuff is wrinkled, so I apologize for the condition it's in, but I do think it kind of looks cool, makes it look a little aged, and it kind of maybe noirish, if you will. So there you go. Anyway, this is the first investigation. Now, I'm not going to really go into it very much. I'm not going to show you everything because I want this to be a surprise for when you get your copy of Mythos Tales. But this is how this game works. So you have the Grain of Evil, and this is Investigation 1, and you can see June 30th, 1929, and it's going to tell you a story. It's going to, when you open up the investigation, it's going to have the Grain of Evil, and it's going to kind of tell you the background of the story, and then it's going to be up to you to decide where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Now, this isn't something where, like in a classic choose-your-own-adventure, where it's like, does Bobby go in the cave? Turn to page 7, or do you go to the beach? Turn to page 72. I mean, this is completely freeform, and you kind of are allowed to just do whatever you want. Now, you get this little map of Arkham, and like you can see, I don't know if you're able to see this or not, but you can see all these little spots or whatever, and you can see these numbers like C24 and C25 and things like that. Those are entries that are going to be within this investigation booklet. And I'm just going to kind of turn to a page so you can see it's like C25, D2, D9, things like that. And so as you're playing it, the way this works, you can play it by yourself and just kind of try to figure it out and play it solo, which I've done. After I played it solo, I kind of turned it over and let my friends play it as well, and I had them play it cooperatively. And then that's one of the things where basically you all kind of sit at the table, and each person kind of like you discuss the case, discuss the clues, and then that person decides, okay, I'm going to go to this location. And then they read aloud that entry that's within this booklet. And then you turn it over to the next person, like clockwise on the table, and you all discuss what you're going to do then. You write down notes, what you think could or could not be like to solve the case, and then they pick a location. Now, the way you find out a location is a couple of ways. The big thing is using this Arkham directory. The Arkham directory has tons of names of places and people and what have you alphabetically, and they reference a location. Now, not all of these are going to be represented in the book that's going to show you, like, they're not all going to have entries, but you are going to have lots of red herrings, if you will, stuff that isn't going to have anything to do with what's going on. And then there are also, like, we need over here, it's like you have, like, actually not alphabetical, but like churches that have been abandoned, financial institutions, gas stations, graveyards, all kinds of crazy stuff that you can kind of look at too if you don't want to go alphabetical. So like you just think maybe going to a medical facility would be helpful. You can kind of look and see what your options are of like going to a medical facility or the newspapers or whatever. So that's in the, and that will tell you, you'll pick a location like say FH4, and then you'll look and see if it's in this booklet. If it isn't there, you don't lose anything. You just say obviously it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, and so you're going to pick something else. Another thing that you get that's really cool is that you're going to get the Arkham Advertiser. And I need to cover that up real quick because I don't want to show you that. The Arkham Advertiser is each case will have a newspaper that is for that day, and then it has all these little stories and everything like that. And they're going to have little clues hidden within the stories, and so you just kind of have to peruse it. And once again, this is total freeform. It isn't saying, hey, go look at the newspaper and see if you can figure out if there's something in there to like give us something away. But you can have one person kind of read through this and see if they can pick up a clue or something. But beware, you can get some little red herrings and things like that as well. Now the whole idea is that Dr. Henry Armitage is the person who's sending you on this mission to try to figure out what happened in these cases, and he is investigating it at the same time, and he like always gets like a really good score. Basically, he doesn't waste any time. He knows exactly where you should go, whatever. And so you're kind of comparing your score to his after the fact. Now, I didn't really care about that. I just wanted to kind of figure out the process and the case and try to do well. I didn't really care whether or not I beat him, but that is kind of like the idea. And that's kind of the cool thing about the game, too, is you can kind of enjoy it on whatever level you wish. So let me just... I don't want to read this out loud because, once again, I want you to be kind of surprised by it. But the idea of the Grain of Evil is that basically this young woman was like discovered she had been attacked and she was bleeding, and basically this detective was on the scene, and they were managed to bring her to the hospital and managed to stabilize her and save her life. And the man, the detective, saw a kind of a shifty individual, so to speak, that may or may not have had something to do with the attack on the woman. And so you are told you need to kind of look into these things and see what's going on. And one of the first things you might think of is either going and talking to the detective, or maybe going to the hospital and see if you can talk to the lady or whatever. And so that's like the first thing I did. I said I was going to go talk to the lady, and the lady is at C11. And so I'm just here, I'll read this. I mean, it's kind of long, but it says, Arkham's only hospital is an impressive 3-storied affair of red brick. Armitage often mentions his friend Dr. Vincent Sutton as being a useful point of contact at the hospital, and you immediately ask for him at the front desk. The stern administration assistant frowns at your request, but dispatches the message to Sutton all the same. And so it kind of goes further into the whole backstory. And this is something when you're reading this out loud to everybody else at the table. And so they go through this process of like letting you know that they don't know the woman's name, and they don't know exactly what happened. And they mention that her wound has something very interesting about it. And I'm not, like I said, I don't want to give too much away. You can probably maybe HD this and zoom in and read it. And so they mentioned that they had found something interesting about the wound, and they sent that over to the university to have it studied. So that's another clue. You can go check that out. And then the woman wakes up, and and she kind of rambles at the end and said, only at Bayfriars, but no, not there. The trees, why are they walking, Edward? Where is my Edward? Why is this happening? The trees have eyes. Ooh, spooky, right? And so now you have, Bayfriars. What's Bayfriars? And you find out that Bayfriars is an abandoned church, and so maybe you're going to go check that out. Also, the cool things is, when I was looking at this, you can kind of see here's the newspaper, and then over here in this corner, mystery woman attacked in Uptown. And so it's like a disturbance occurred around 7 p.m. last night at the West High Street when a young woman woman collapsed. Bystanders were able to provide assistance to the woman, and it kind of goes into it, and kind of more background to the story. And so it's very evocative, and you kind of feel like you're really digging into this. Now, it is a Arkham horror type of a situation, so there are beasties and things like that. And if you go down certain paths where you're going to see things that man was not meant to know, you're going to get negative points to your score to reflect the fact that you're losing parts of your sanity because of the fact that you're seeing things that you can't comprehend or that you can't quite grasp. And so basically, after you've solved the case, or you believe you've solved the case or done the best you can as far as solving the case, you will then compare that, and I don't want to show this, I'm going to kind of cover this up, but there's going to be these questions that are like part 1 questions, and then there are part 2 questions. I don't want to show those really quick. I suppose if you really want to, you can kind of, I think you can still find the print and play, but you can do that. And then what you do is you actually have like the solution of what happened, and so you can read that to see how close you were to the actual solution of the situation. And then you compare that with Dr. Henry Armitage's success and what he did and what he scored and where he went and what he did. You can compare yourself to that case, and you can see how well you did in comparison to what the expert investigator did, the non-player character investigator did. Basically, if you've played the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective game, you're probably going to be very familiar with this. That's an excellent game as well. And this one is just that, but with this really spooky, awesome, insanity, Cthulhu, Mythos type of thing going on. And it is absolutely amazing. It is probably one of the best solo games I've ever played. It is one of the best team games I've ever played. And it is just one of those nice, wonderful, evocative experiences that really can't be described without actually playing the game. So, but I'll talk more about that in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. Alright, you should have a really good idea of how to play Mythos Tales. So, as I said, it's more of like a free-form sandbox, choose-your-own-adventure type of situation. And this game is best played, in my opinion, if you have everybody just turning off their phones, putting them in a drawer, sitting at a table, maybe, having the room only kind of lit by dim lights or candles or what have you, and everybody's sitting there with their little pad of paper and a pencil, and each person taking a turn and trying to ham it up a little bit when they read the entries, if you will. I've also, when I played this solo, I made sure I played it down here in my little gaming dojo here that I have, and I made sure that I turned down the lights a little bit, and I read it after everybody else had gone to sleep, and so the little creaks and groans of my house could just spook me out just a little bit too. And that's what this game is fun. I mean, yeah, you could just play this in a well-lit office, and you could have fun with it too, but this game begs you to play with the theme. And when you're reading it out loud to the other players, you should ham up what's going on. It's and just use different voices and try to put the terror in the situation if at all possible. And that's because of the fact that once you kind of read the mystery and you know how it works, you can't really go back and do it again. That's why I kind of did it myself, and then I presented it to my gaming group and let them run through it. And it was kind of fun watching them kind of, go through the red herrings and travel down paths that I realized probably weren't going to be the ones that are going to get them to the solution very quickly. But but it's all part of the story. And the cool thing about it is too, after you get done with it, you can go back and just kind of read through, the entries, and so you can see what you missed and just kind of check out, and make sure you experience everything. Obviously you don't want to go ahead and just read this thing one by one, because obviously that's just going to ruin it for you. But I was very, very impressed with the writing ability and the creation ability of the people that published this game and put it together, because it really is just, it felt like I was a part of a Cthulhu novel. It felt like I was a part of some Lovecraftian short story, if you will. And for a person that's a fan of that genre, I mean, that was very welcome, and I had a ton of fun with it. Now, this isn't going to be for everybody, because like I said, it isn't like kind of a straightforward board game. But I think that if you are a big fan of mysteries, if you're a big fan of, you know, like a kind of a choose your own adventure type of thing, but also just having an experience, not so much trying to win, but just having an experience, either solo or with your group, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. You can play it competitively, and which basically, like, each person kind of, you know, does what they want to and kind of writes down their own notes and keeps it secretive. But I didn't play it like that because I didn't really think that would be fun for me. But I mean, if there's people out there that think that that would be fun to, like, everybody kind of do their own thing and, like, you know, read the booklet. Okay, I got my clue, hand it off, and then you can kind of peruse the other things. And that's the cool thing too. If you have 2 or 3 people and you're playing with it, like, there's more than just that. You could take a look at the map, you could read through the newspaper, things like that while you're waiting for your turn. And then after all is said and done, after everybody says, I got my solution, you then could compare and see how well you did. You know, because you'll have those questions, and each question that you get correct, you get points for, you know, and then, like, basically for being, have an economy of actions, like, you know, going down the right rabbit holes of the investigation, you know, correctly, and in the right order. Those are obviously going to help you out as far as your score goes as well. I mean, like I said, when I played it, I didn't really care about the score. I just wanted to have the cool little moments and the cool little Lovecraftian adventure, which I did, and I had a ton of fun with it. So there you go. It is not called Arkham Investigator. It is called Mythos Tales. So go ahead and check that out at Kickstarter. Like I said, it's got 4 or 5 days left right now. And so if you're interested in picking it up, you can go ahead and back it. And so once that gets published and sent out, you can have your very own copy. All right. So there you go. If you have any questions about Arkham Investigator or Mythos Tales, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those if I can. And thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right. Bye-bye.